going into the Whoosh Hits. Something we really love too is adding weight with rattles, anything that has like a low frequency like this. So today is an exciting day because we just released our new sound effects library with Joshua Crispin. It is called Quantum, and as you can expect, it is some banging trailer sound design sound effects. Alright, so the library is divided into alt versions and the design elements. So if you go here, let's say the booms, you can see that there's a difference between JC and KP. These are the initials of the authors, Joshua Crispin and Karel Psota here. What's cool is that we each have our own kind of mixing ideas. So for instance, Joshua is a bit more versatile and more simple. I'm more on the textural side. I like having cool stuff in details, which is not always good. If you're a music composer, you want to usually use sounds that don't have much information, but that have the right frequencies. When you're an editor and you have like a very strong shot, you want to use something that has a lot of movement behind it. So yeah, it's a cool little contrast to here. Then we have downers. Some have attacks, some are just clean. One of my favorites here, whistle. Did some weird ones. That reminded me of the sound effect $1 Million Man. It's a very iconic kind of granular spring delay thing going on. So I tried to do one but modern, just more low end, a bit deeper. Some of these have more reverb to add a bit more weight. Then we have the drones over here. Again, very useful to just set a tone for your edits. Everything is in the key of C. It's also great under dialogue. For instance, if you have a bad actor, just put a bit of ambience behind him, and the acting gets way better. I did some really cold ones too, which don't really have a note. They're just kind of, I don't know, kind of frigid. Can be great for a slow-mo sequence too. Dream State. One of my favorites is this one. It really reminds me of the PlayStation 2 loading screen, or also the PlayStation 1, I can't remember. But just the evolving nature of it all. It's really nice. Also reminds me of Daft Punk Digital Love at the end of the track. You can hear a drone with grain delay kind of evolving. Yeah, very shimmery textures. Again, for like a dream sequence, something like that, it could be really interesting. Some darker ones. A few loops that I used in the trailer that I created. I put them in here. But essentially, this pack is really not designed for composers. It's more for editors. We tried to stay away from anything that's too instrumental or loop-based. That's why there's only a few loops. We wanted sounds that work for everything, every type of edit. So there's usually no pitch in the whooshes and hits and the booms. And they really work, you know, with the sync points. You don't need to find a tempo for anything. And if ever you do have a sound with a tempo requirements, we have them there. So you can see 90 BPM and the key. But yeah, that was not the highlight of the library. We just put them in here because I used them in the trailer track and I thought it would be good to share. A few hits here, very punchy. Yeah, perfect for like big title cards, you know. Some are like more discreet. I think this sound is actually the one that starts the demo track. Then a few risers. What I really love about Joshua's sound design is that it's very clean, very high energy. On my end, I have more lower ones and some more complex ones like this one. I was inspired by the Alita Battle Angel trailer. There's a really cool sequence where she's flying in the air with the ropes and stuff. So I tried to create something similar. Another one here. And something I really love is the idea of contrary motion in downers. Basically, I have a riser plus a downer, one going up, one going down, obviously, and that creates a lot of tension. Also, a sound that is present in Top Gun Maverick trailer, which, by the way, is from AV Instinct. It's the downer, heavy duty, I believe. This one has a cool chord in it. A bit unusual. And that's a motorbike or a guitar. Actually, that's a guitar recorded, but sounded like a motorbike. So like if you have a race sequence with cars, that could be cool. That one's completely weird. It's like a wind tone. There was an anime I watched when I was a kid where the wind would like control robots or something. I really love that sound. And there's a linear one with no movement, so it's less realistic, but easier to edit to. More discreet, doesn't catch the ear as much. So there's a lot of also passive sounds that are really good for like subtle edits. Going into the Whoosh Hits. Something we really love too is adding weight with rattles. Anything that has like a low frequency like this. Yeah, it just conveys a lot of weight even on small speakers. So let's see. Dragon Den, which is a little homage to Dragon Roll from AV Instinct. It's like the big brother. Yeah, some are really convenient. Some have more textural tones to them. Cool, and we tried to do different mixes too, so that not everything sounds the same in the library. They all have a different purpose, and you can use them for different things. Moving on, we have Whooshes. So essentially, these are like transition sounds with not a strong hit point. It's a bit softer, a bit more passive on the ear. Yeah, great for movement. Favorite is yeah, Heavy Wind's one of my favorite because it's a very soft sound, yet it is really overwhelming. Really grabs your attention. A lot of, compression, distortion going on. Now let's take a look at the alt versions. So we have aggressive. So if we take a look at these, you hear that there's more rattling in the tail. It's more crunchy. We also turned the volume down a little because with distortions things get much louder. So we compensated this and normalized all our files so that when you go through them, there's no spikes in volumes, and when you drop them in your edit, they're all mixed ready. Let's take a look at, so that's aggressive. It works well. Pretty cool hits too. Yeah, it really creates new sounds. Great for, I guess, horror, action sequences, anything that needs higher energy. Distortion's good. Then for slow-mo stuff, I always recommend using darker versions with like filters to take away the high end. So if we go to dark here, let's see like the hits. So when time slows down, sounds get pitched down, so they lose high end. So it's like only logical to have a sound with less high end in a slow motion sequence. Then we have over here in the distant mixes, we basically ran all our sounds through transient design, EQ, and some reverbs to create a sense of depth. So a distant sound is not only a sound with reverb, it's usually a bit more narrow. It also has a bit less bass, a little bit less high end, and a bit less transient. So we applied all this. Some whooshes. Again, a great way to contrast your edits, do something really close, and then when you have a large shot, you can put a sound that is much more distant. And also you can see that they're named here, so distant, you can just do Command F in your computer, type in quantum, hit distant, and it will show up all the files. Cool, so hopefully you got a nice idea of what quantum is all about. By the way, we called it quantum because it is a cool name, but also because it is an observation on the industry. We noticed that the sounds were not getting smaller, but the playback devices were getting smaller. Think about all the trailers you watch on your iPhone. It's kind of scary that you can't rely on bass anymore as an editor. You need sounds that really function really well in the mid-range and high frequencies. So that's really what we focused on with this library, sounds that work on the smallest quantumist devices. Oh, and before I forget, we also have a free pack. It is 15 sounds from the Quantum library. Feel free to try them out in your edits and your music, see how they sit in a mix for yourself. And if you're happy with the product, feel free to check out the full version at epicsoundeffects.com.